Good evening, dandies. Welcome to Undetermined, the podcast.
Yahoo account, so
I still got it, Jan. Yeah.
when I see the AOL or Hotmail's another good one too. Yeah.
Well, and it's just one word at Hotmail, and it's like those are rare to have without like a big bunch of number tags and everything. It's really easy to.
Right.
I've had that email for 30 years, something like that. So can't have been at it too long.
Yep. Yeah, my Yahoo. That's ancient. I've had it longer than I've had my cell phone, and I've had that for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
Well, if you've got a one-word Hotmail address, you were on Hotmail before many people were on Hotmail.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You don't want to see the junk mail file.
Oh shit.
Have to go through and delete about 1,000 once a month.
I never delete. I just let it pile up.
I don't even bother with my Yahoo anymore. Like Gmail, it's a race to try to keep up with it. So
yeah,
it's almost just like a game at this point. So
one thing I think is funny and that I can't find it is that somewhere in cyberspace I have a MySpace account. I never deactivated it. I don't know. Are they still there?
I didn't either. I think mine. The last time I visited it because it was I forget what might have been my Yahoo account that had some, after Timberlake got there or whatever, and I went back to just see if my page, because I always liked MySpace.
Yeah, I did too.
I liked it. I could change the look of it. It was the cool thing. Why did we let everybody convince us to do this Facebook thing?
I don't know.
Out of necessity. It's like, but MySpace was cool. So I went back to check it out. And of course, so much code had been written since the last time I had set that thing up. It was ridiculous. Like it was like something out of some kind of sci-fi movie. Like I was going to get some invasion through my screen or something. It was like, right. It was crazy.
Right. A long-haired Japanese girl starts clawing through the.
Right.
Dressed in white.
You know what I was thinking though, it's kind of almost the time, like if like MySpace wanted to try a comeback, this is the time to do it. Facebook's getting in some hot water.
Yeah. Well, we should do it. We should do it.
Let's call JT up.
Let's make him some money. I'd say we do this thing because all the other attempts have failed. I forget what anytime there's a coup on Facebook, I'm always like, yeah, I'll do it. Let's do it. But then I go back to see if my post got any likes or whatever.
I know, man.
I'm all about jumping ship. I just want to make sure I made a decision that everybody else appreciates. So I got to go back and check my reacts.
Right.
I need the approval of others. It's like I want to be a rebel. I want to be a rebel, but I want everybody to approve of it.
Right.
You're coming with me, right?
Right. We're all in this, right? Because I'm turning my back on this motherfucker. Yeah. As soon as y'all log off, I'm out of here too.
Fuck this place. As long as that's like cool with you and
fuck this place, right? Right. We're in this, right?
All right, it's the equivalent of doing the stage dive and everybody like moving out of the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're gonna catch me, right?
Yeah. Trust fall.
Trying to avoid the pun, but what could go wrong?
Well, a lot of things. Now that I think about it, there are a lot of things. It's not an optimistic question by any means, for sure.
No, it's not. I think it's a great name for the new album, though. Especially, doing it all in lockdown and having to deal with that. I can't imagine.
Well, it kind of, almost all the Skatenigs albums have been like ridiculous bumper sticker freaking titles. Anyway, it's not like I'm trying to come up with the original album title for everybody. I just want everybody to get a chuckle out of it.
Right.
It's like I'd like for it to just perfectly not make sense.
Right.
Right.
Well, you're doing that smashingly, man.
Why, thank you, sir.
Dropping the whole thing in like 5 days, isn't that right? Is it the 29th?
Yeah, Friday is the actual, I'm like, this is coming out on Halloween. This is coming out on Halloween. Yeah. We'll put it out on Halloween. And then both record labels get back, hey, man, we got to put this out on the 29th, right? I'm like, well, Halloween, that's the scary day, not the 29th. And they're like, well, but nobody's working on Halloween.
Oh.
I'm like, well, this is some bullshit y'all let me believe in for like a year now.
You guys are coming with me, right?
That's totally. Yeah, trust fall to the floor. Which might be the next album.
Just trust fall.
Yeah. Trust follow me.
Trust follow me.
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Into the fire.
Oh, you guys been playing a lot of the stuff off the new album, though, and you guys are back to gigging.
Friday night, we played Corpus Christi.
Yeah, I saw that.
And that was the first time we've played any of the new songs.
Oh, was it?
With the exception of the single Hell and Back Again, which actually we've been playing since right before lockdown because it was like the first song that was done to start the album before we decided, hey, we need to make an album.
Uh-huh.
And so it was so we had played around with that one show the day before South by Southwest got canceled. So it was like the last legitimate show in Austin that I knew of, other than like the crazy ones that went on that like fuck this disease, you know?
Yeah.
And all that. So
yeah.
And I remember playing that show and coming outside. Some dude from the New York Times was talking to how we felt about South by Southwest shutting down. I was like, well, that's the best fucking thing. That's even better than this plague that's coming. South by Southwest shut down. Give us all a fair shake again. Let's rebuild this thing.
What happened with that, man? It just like blew up and turned into something. It was like so cool at first, and then
it's like anything, people it caught on, and money got involved, and then the only thing that was involved was money, and it was like the bigger, it's like thieves. When you start stealing, you never one day think, you know what, I'm stealing a bit too much. I'm going to cut back. I'm going to cut back on my thievery. And just steal, just what I need. It's like that doesn't ever happen. So, of course, the corporate pigs, follow suit. And I like the people that started South by, but it's just, it became a snowball that even the founders, well, they could have done something about it. But, I think everything looks bright and shiny, and that's the direction that we tend to want to go as humans, go the next thing, and money is the brightest and shiniest of all.
Right.
But it got out of hand. It's not about it that it wasn't local anymore. It was about that it wasn't about breaking new artists.
Right.
So everybody that started playing it was on a record label already. Well,
right.
Where's the excitement in that? So now we're just showing off for our record labels. We actually, when we did our second, we've played a bunch of South bys because it's in Austin. If it wasn't in Austin, we might have played one or two, maybe.
Right.
But because it was in Austin, it's like, we have to do it. It's a ridiculous promotional opportunity, if nothing else, that's right down the street that you just have to take advantage of. But when we did the second album, our record label, when we signed with them, which was Red Light Records at the time, I'm taking you guys on a little journey real quick. I know it wasn't asked. I know it wasn't asked for, but you're going to get it. It only hurt for a little bit, okay? So, so we get signed to this record label, and we're like, all right, another Chicago label. Let's roll with this. And what we want out of you guys, what do you guys want? Well, what we would like is to keep our artistic control and know that if we're going to work with a small label, let's keep this thing family. We want to know that you're not going to sign a bunch of bands and try to put them on tour with us. Oh, no. We've got a couple of bands that we got to stay loyal to. They're already on the label. Well, next thing you know, we're barely able to pay for our video budget. They're South by Southwest. I go into the office, once again, lucky because it was local. I go into the office, talk to one of the guys I knew, and it's like, oh, man, we moved your night. You're playing with your record label. They called us and we're doing your record label. I'm like, no, that wasn't the deal. We're not playing South by Southwest to play with our label mates. We're not even really fond of them. As a matter of fact, we haven't heard of most of them.
Right.
And the ones that we have heard, we don't like. And that's not just my shitty attitude. That's actually my honest opinion.
Right.
It's like, I'll tell you what, we're not going to do that. So let's just take Skatenigs off South by South. We're like, no, man, you guys are the whole reason the label's playing. I'm like, not anymore.
Right.
And they're like, well, if we move you guys, will that make you happy? It's the only thing that's going to make me happy. Let's move. And they said, well, we've only, here's the deal. So they thought they were going to give me like some shitty option, and they go, well, here, let me look, we're trying to accommodate you. And the only thing we have available is this Friday night death metal showcase. And it's all bands from Mexico. And I was like, fucking perfect. We love that gig. Put us on that. So we headlined this show with a lot of these brujeria type bands that were fucking great.
That sounds like a blast.
They fucking loved it because nobody showed up except Skatenig fans. So we packed the place. We were really hot at the time. We packed the place, and they just, just like hardly anybody spoke English, but we were all good with that. I mean, we just rocked it out, and they were like so grateful to have that showcase, and it just worked out so perfectly. And it wasn't even that we didn't like the record label or didn't like this, but it was just like, one, you're not going to pull something over on us, and two, I would have opted for Mexican death metal anyway. It was like that was the gig to be on, but it was great. It was great. Anyway, so the record label, they got everybody down here from Chicago and the Midwest, and nobody really showed up for their gig, surprisingly. And it was like, it sounds like a bunch of attitude in your face, but it was like the one time where you said "fuck you" to the label and it worked.
Yeah,
it's like we actually had But long story, so here's how that works out though: is then we get booked to do a opening slot for Tool on their European tour.
Nice.
So tickets are selling. We're on the posters, everything. We go to hit the label up for our plane tickets, and the owner of the label's not answering the phone anymore.
Oh, shit.
And we're like, man, we got to get these tickets. We've got our, all our papers done, all this. Well, they went bankrupt.
Oh, no.
So spreading that money out across all those bands, the only reason why we were cautious of that, and this is, kudos to South by Southwest, because, and not even that I've ever even attended many seminars there, but one of the seminars I went to was about startup record labels. And they said, well, the top 3 reasons why startup record label dies is because they invest in too many bands in the first 2 years.
Yeah, spread themselves too thin.
We were bringing that to the table like we knew what the fuck we were talking about, but turns out we knew what the fuck we were talking about because they killed our label and us along with it. So we didn't get to go open up for Tool.
Oh, man.
As a matter of fact, we let Tool down.
Yeah.
Because we did, they had to find another opener. We were on the tickets, we were on the posters, we were on everything. I guess they forgave us because Matt Mitchell, our guitar player at the time, now is the producer for Pussifer and the guitar player for Pussifer. So he ended up doing well with that connection. But it was like, it was the beginning of the end for that first round of the Skatenigs cycle.
Yeah.
It was a killer. And I would love to blame personalities and drugs, which were certainly plenty of fault.
Mm-hmm.
But we lost backing of that label and all the momentum we had going with it. And it was probably our peak at that time. You had Beavis and Butthead, Dave Bigger talking all this stuff. And then there was this Tool tour.
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be the one. That was going to be the one that took us over the threshold. And no biggie, except for if I had it to do all over again, we would have
been on that tour.
We would have done enough criminal activity prior to that tour where the fucking record label wouldn't have mattered. That's what I'm getting at, guys.
Yeah.
Right.
Some back alley financing. Yeah. Something could have happened. Ah, geez, that sucks. Well, hindsight though. But yeah, I mean, talking to Nathan Calhoun too, another thing that just kind of pisses me off about the whole South by Southwest things. He said that a lot of the people are coming in now. It's not just the money, but it's also like the tech industry, and it's not even necessarily music tech. It's just software and shit like that. And it's like, man, I would feel really duped if I spent a bunch of money on tickets to go there and then figured out I was getting a presentation on, some new social media platform or something else, and be like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I mean, that being said, here's the deal. So, yeah, I mean, with that money, they've had a chance to invest into, what else is here. So they've done an education South by Southwest for teachers and stuff, which I thought that doesn't really go with the music part. And it was a few days beforehand.
No, it's a good cause.
But I like that they were trying some new things. A good cause, yeah.
Right.
So the tech thing is not such a bad thing. It usually takes place a few days ahead of time.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes sense in this town. So I don't really hate on that.
Mm-hmm.
What I hate on is purely on the musical thing. So with the movie part of film part of South by Southwest, it still has some of its original roots. Because why? Because Austin's not going to trump Hollywood in the film industry. That's not going to happen. So there's a lot of indie films that participate at South by Southwest Film Festival. The problem with the music thing is because we're the live music capital of the world or whatever, it's like people went with that and it just blew up bigger than anybody could ever imagine. And like I say, what got lost was the idea of those experimental or new or just up and coming acts, just gave way to the record label showcase or it's not even the record label showcase anymore. It's also the Pandora showcase or the Spotify showcase where the labels have bought slots on those.
Right.
Now, the last South by Southwest that we participated in, which was, I guess, 2019, I still have some ties there. And I'd almost swore I would never play again because they kept putting us on these showcases where we were the headliners. And it's like, I didn't want to do that anymore. We can play Austin and actually get money from it. We don't need to play Austin and just have our crowd show up for a bunch of new bands that are other bands that, and bring in somebody for them. It's like, I want to play with somebody bigger than us so we can play to their crowd because that's where the Skatenigs cut our teeth on, was opening up for bands that we had no business opening up for and kicking their ass, at least with a show, not with talent. Don't get me wrong. Skatenigs never started out as a fucking talent gig.
Right.
We started out as the rodeo clowns, during the bullfight.
Mm-hmm.
Our first rules when we started up, for one thing, we practiced in a storage unit for 6 rehearsals, 6 songs, never been a band before. 3 of the guys were friends. 3 of the guys were DJ buddies of mine. And then we opened up for ministry.
Yeah.
It actually started out with Al saying, "Hey, Phil, come to Texas. We've never had an opening band. Get us an opening band." I'm like, okay. So I tried to get the big boys to do a reunion or something crazy, something that would make me live in music history, right? And he's like, "No, man, I want you to put together a band." And literally without hardly a gasp, I'm like, okay. hung up the phone and started making phone calls. And we borrowed all our gear from this band called the Reavers, which were signed to, they were an Austin band. They were kind of an REM kind of band that was signed to a major label. That we borrowed all this gear, did 6 rehearsals, wrote 6 songs, opened up for ministry for 4 or 5 shows, returned the gear, went back into hiding for a year. Ministry came back through and said, okay, so this time we actually said, let's do this. And we actually started buying some gear. We had our ecstasy dealer start playing keyboards for us because he was the only one that could afford to buy a sampler. So we're because we need samples because that's what ministry does, right? So we're just going by everybody's playbook. We had no idea what we wanted to do other than I said, I like punk and I like rap and I like the way ministry sounds.
Right.
So we got a sampler. We started using these distorted sounds and fucking just kind of I remember we wrote the song Shit Authority and I was like, all right, well, the drum beat I want is from 2 Live Crews. We Want Some Pussy. So we literally just copped the drum beat from We Want Some Pussy. And I was like, okay. And then there's this bass line from this other, and Peace that stole everything and made this song. We can write music. So it's from 4 elements that are stolen from other songs I like. Yeah. And that's how the Skatenigs started.
Right. You just Frankensteined it.
Just, I think Gibby told me once, he goes, songwriting by something like Sonic Architecture or something like that, it was because we were rightly just just whatever we could. Let's add this to it. Well, who does that right? Okay, well, we'll steal it from them. And, and we would just build these songs out, and it ended up, the thing was like, we want to be fun. We want people to shake their butts.
Right.
Yeah, I'm a real simple person. If you haven't figured that out yet, there's nothing complex going on here. I just like to have fun. So we write these songs, and it's like, everything's going to be like this. Keep this dance beat theme going, and it really didn't turn out that way because we had a live drummer. And anytime you steal shit, just by the way, it ends up sounding like your own stuff, especially if you're not talented, because you don't know how to steal it properly. So everything kind of became a Skatenigs sound by accident, by lack of talent. So what we did notice was this little 6 song and playing for like 30 minutes was a pretty good gimmick because people didn't quite have long enough to realize that you weren't any good.
Yeah.
But they were having fun.
They were having fun. That was the thing. Everything was done like a block party, So we do the second round of ministry shows, and we're like, all right, we're going to keep these songs. We actually kept every song we wrote. We didn't write anything and throw it away. We're not that kind of artists.
Right.
We're not trashing anything. We're gonna muscle this one through, right? So we would. So we get the second round of ministry shows, which was The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste.
Mm-hmm.
And we decide, we're going to have to start playing shows on our own. If we're going to do this thing, so a couple of members fell off. They're like, one guy was a computer programmer and made way too much money for us anyway. Right. And another guy just didn't believe in it. And he kind of like, hey, good luck, but I'm going to go this other way. And so then we started adding members on. And so in comes our ecstasy dealer coming in to play samples, and we started moving people around, and we're still thinking that the 6-song thing, the little 30-minute set. So I go to a friend of mine now I used to run a club with. I was a DJ at a place called the Cave Club. Okay. That place had gone away, and my friend Brad First, who now works for South by Southwest. So see, I'm tying all these things in. I'm gonna make this. I'm gonna give it some continuity one way or another. I'll force it.
Right on.
It'll sound like yours in the end.
That's right. That's right. This is kind of how I write songs too. This is kind of like this very loosely connected concept. And then as long as we all end on the same beat, it's cool. So Brad has this club called the Cannibal Club. And I go to him and I say, look, and we've opened up for ministry a couple of shows. This is what I want to do. I don't want to come in through the front door and like open up for 3 bands and like work my way to the top because I don't think we've got the stamina. What I need is a Friday night to headline. Mm-hmm. We need to start out as headliners. And what I'm willing to do is I'll get Frank Kozik to make a poster.
Right.
We will give you all the cover money. We don't want anything. Just give us a chance to play. If we do well, you'll book us again. If we don't, we'll work our way up. Well, that Friday night, the first headlining show, we packed the place out.
Nice.
I had no idea he was 2 months behind in rent. He got caught up on rent.
Nice.
And so we started out with a really good reputation in Austin for getting in a club and making them money. So, but what we did was we came in, and I think that night we busted a bunch of TVs on stage. And I remember like the second gig we played, we had a big white cheesecloth scrim across the front. And the 3 of us on the front came in, and we dropped our pants down behind it, and we shined flashlights on our balls. So all you could see was the silhouette of our three sets of balls across the front. So we played this long circus music intro. And so that ate up like 5 to 10 minutes. People throwing shit through the cheesecloth. I'm tired of looking at your fucking balls. Nice. Play something, goddamn it, Freebird, whatever. And so we would play. So we kept up that 30-minute set time deal for like a year and a half or so. And about almost until Al came down to see us, and we had added Billy Jackson to the lineup, and we started like, oh, well, you guys are great. There's just one thing. We're going to have to correct all these songs musically. I'm like, okay, can you handle that? Yeah. So we started taking it a little more serious. And so we put together, said Al came down to see us at the Cannibal Club and said, one of the songs we had written, we had stolen a bass line from the Revolting Cocks, from Stainless Steel Providers.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and Al comes and watches this. He's like, that's the best goddamn song I've heard all year. You guys need to record for Wax Tracks. So we got invited to come to Chicago and record for Wax Tracks. So they've made no commitment to us at that point. As a matter of fact, they had only heard us talked about. And anyway, I had already had a good relationship with Wax Tracks as a DJ because we were a very industrial friendly town at that time. And I was doing some concert promotion at Cave Club. And so I was in good with them in that regards. But then the stories they were hearing from Al were kind of like, lock the doors kind of shit. But
right.
But we ended up going to Chicago and recording Chemical Imbalance and Damage 43. And then he invited Wax Tracks out to, he's like, well, they're gonna need to see you guys, and it's a done deal. So I think we didn't have hardly any songs, right? I think we still only had, I think we had a 7th song because Chemical Imbalance was added or something. So we added a couple of Palehead songs to the list. And so Al came and played with us at that show at the Cubby Bear. And we played every song that we had by the Skatenigs, and then added a Palehead song or two. And that's what got us signed to Wax Tracks.
Nice.
Right on. Speaking of the Cox, you and the new record, you're doing a kind of updated Beer Steers and Queers. Is that right?
Mm.
That's right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, so I had been wanting to do a remix with Al for quite some time, and we had talked about it and put it off. And finally, I was just like, look, I really want to do a Skatenigs version, because we have played probably 5 different versions over the years as Skatenigs, because Al and I wrote that song. As a matter of fact, I think when he came and saw us at Campbell Club, Beer Steers and Queers was one of those 7 songs.
Mm-hmm.
But it was our version with guitars in it.
Mm.
And I think at the time we were doing some kind of like spaghetti western or something, which he ended up, some of those samples ended up being spaghetti western type samples in that studio production.
Right.
So we played it off and on for years, but finally I was just like, man, can I get the tracks for that song? And we want to do our own spin on it. So he sent me the tracks, which I was already really happy that even happened, because he just doesn't let anybody touch his studio recordings, and even though I wrote that song with him, I wasn't sure I would ever give it. So he sent them to us. And we used some of the original tracks because those original kick and snare sounds on that are like, it's hard to replace those. We kept those. And then there was some of the scratching that Al and I had done that we kept. Everything else was changed. We had Mike DeLeon from Philip and Salmo and the Illegals play a metal riff on that. So we took that and put that in the song. We had Bradley Bills from Chant. He's also played with KMFDM and Doc Krups and Thrill Kill Cult and a bunch of
Yes.
Bradley, and he's also played with the Skatenigs. So Bradley came in and did some live drums on top of it, which is mostly just hardware and cymbals and stuff, but it added another element to it. So yeah, there's, and then we also sampled. So our videographer was the web show producer for Joe Exotic from Tiger King.
Yeah, I was going to ask about this. Yeah.
And I could tie this together with all the stash boxes I've been sent from prison.
Right.
I can weave this whole thing together, but we'll be here all night and a couple days after. But so Kelly Hurd, our video producer, editor, is he had done the web show for Tiger King. So the samples on our Beer Steers and Queers is Joe Exotic.
That's crazy.
Right on.
Yeah, so there's 2 songs on the album that have Joe Exotic on it, and Beer Steers and Queers is one of them. So it's real rednecked out. I mean, I really like it. People are going to love it or they're going to hate it. They're going to respect it for being its own thing, or they're going to hate it. The traditionalists are going to hate it, and that's okay, because the worst thing for me is somebody to be indifferent.
Right.
Love me, hate me, but you give me. I want the extremes. I don't need none of that wishy-washy bullshit.
Well, I can't wait to hear it now.
Yeah.
It'll be fun. The whole album's fun. It's kind of like a mixtape made by a schizophrenic.
I like it.
it's kind of all over the place, but I really wouldn't have it any other way because I was kind of like, if I die at the end of this thing, what I want is a representation of all the shit I love.
Right.
And so we just started writing one song at a time and not trying to piece it. This is no concept record. This is just shit we like to play. And I think it's fucking fun. There's 13 songs on the CD. There's 12 songs on the digital. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait for people to hear it. Just like the first 3 records, they don't sound alike, but I think there's a common theme of that we're consistently inconsistent.
Right.
It's not, well, I mean, just listening to Hell and Back Again, I mean, it sounds new and improved, but it's still a Skatenigs record to me.
Right. You can still tell.
Yeah.
It's still.
It's got you in it. That's for sure. You can tell it's got Adam in it for sure.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. Well, in like that song, every song on the record has at least one guest performer, and that's the other thing. This thing's kind of like it just kind of went with that theme with it being all over the place. So on Hell and Back Again, we have Riggs from Rob Zombie.
Okay.
Oh yeah, the guy who plays live with him.
Yeah, he plays lead on that song. He's also in the video. And then for drums on that song, we have Jason West. From Wednesday 13.
Okay. Right.
We've got one song called Erase Today that has Spit Sticks playing drums from Fear.
Nice.
And Greg Hetson from Bad Religion and the Circle Jerks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Chris Gates from the Big Boys. It's like a punk rock all-star, punk rock 101 anthem but with a little bit of that Skatenigs sound, to be able to own it. There are a lot of guest stars on this record. Dan Milligan from the Joy Thieves. He plays a few on it. Galen Whaling from Lords of Acid and Pig plays on a few songs.
Nice.
I mean, you're going to hear everything from an L7 influence to a B-52's influence to we've got one song that is our version of NWA.
Nice. Now have you recorded with Lee Ving before? Haven't you worked with Lee?
I have not recorded with Lee Ving. We've toured with Lee.
That's right.
As a matter of fact, I just heard from him the other day, and I'm hoping that we will play some more shows with him.
That guy's a trip.
Yeah. Right.
Lee is great.
Yeah.
Love him or hate him. He's another one. There's no in between.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that.
I'm just imagining you two guys in a room back in the day. Jesus.
The thing is on the surface, people might see, I always think of Lee in Decline of Western Civilization.
Yeah.
Eating the spit off his chest and, who's been eating tuna fish.
Right.
And I think, that people get that kind of like, oh, man, these crazy motherfuckers. But Lee and I together are probably two of the most Southern hospitality, well-mannered, good old boys you could ever meet.
Yeah, always wanted to talk to that cat. He's real interesting to me. I love Fear though too. I'm a big Fear fan.
He's great. He is one way, and he doesn't fall into line with anything. It's like I think in some regards he's got a real conservative outlook,
right? Mm-hmm.
And in some regards he's as liberal as can be,
right?
And I like that about him. To me, I don't give a fuck what you're about. As long as you thought it out,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and if it's genuine. But I can see that about him for sure. It's also one of those people when the music's good enough, I don't, give that much of a shit about politics.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's and this is where we get so polarized over this last year with all the gaslighting and everything. But I think really and truly, and then people are criticized for being political in their music, and
right.
I don't mind that. That's what, people all need something to believe in, right?
Uh-huh.
But for me, I get a little bored with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of, I'm not trying to sell anybody anything.
Right.
I'm not trying to sell anybody anything. You don't need to believe in the way that I believe. As a matter of fact, you're probably better off because I've made a lot of mistakes. But the thing is what I do want to encourage is for people to think for themselves, and that to me is the important part, regardless of what your opinion is at the end of it. It's like, is it your opinion?
That's the thing that's been creeping me the fuck out lately. Is just the lack of thinking.
Yeah.
just the blind acceptance of what we're told. And holy shit, people.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of research for yourself.
Right.
You know, when they used to end the news with the editorial, and then you're given this slant,
Mm-hmm.
and every TV station gets to have its own flavor. And now we've reduced ourselves to a scroll by of a meme where we're not only getting our news from, but we're getting our politics from, we're getting our religion from, or lack of religion, or whatever it is. You know, it's like, I'm going to make my opinion solely based on this cool ass meme,
right?
Because it represents me. Or
yep, comes down to a tweet.
Exactly. Oh my! The people get so pissed off when you like, no, here's more information. That's bullshit.
I'm gonna read that shit.
And they get, no, how dare you give me information?
Right. I'm not reading that.
Get the fuck out of here with you and your thinking.
Who is fact-checking fact-check anyway?
Yeah. Good point. But, hell, just cite something. Give me a reference.
Please, even if it's bullshit, give me something.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, want to drop to shout out to Hillary. It looks like she's got a lot going on too in film and stuff.
Yeah, she's doing great. She's been promoting this movie, campushouse.com, that I think was her first film when she went out to Hollywood and stuff. And it's a small part, but the thing is, here's the thing, is all those movies get to make a comeback now and do that bigger, better thing. So I don't know, I'm hoping they roll it into a new series or something. But, the guy that produced it has an app called FearFlix, and this thing called After Hours Cinema, where they highlight like these kind of Ed Wood offshoot type of movies. And yeah, it's just a cool thing, see him. I love the indie world of do it yourself.
Yeah. And
there's a lot, it's one of the few places you can find personality, but yeah, she's been doing great with that.
Cool, man. Yeah. I need to look up some of those films, but yeah, I love that about, especially you talk about indie and horror, mixing those things, because it's hard to do anything in the regard of like fantasy or, just 10 times harder than it is just to write a love story or something in that regard.
Right.
In my opinion, anyway.
Right.
Yeah, I love that kind of stuff. I love campy horror flicks.
Yeah, campy's where it's at for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing about horror too, is horror of all the film genres has had more personality than any single genre for sure. It's the punk rock of movies for sure.
Yeah, it really kind of is. And there's good punk rock and there's bad punk rock.
Right.
There definitely, or there's punk rock. There's punk rock I don't like, but there's rap I don't like. There's country I don't like, and I like all kinds of music. There's just most of it in each genre I don't like.
Yeah,
I'm just there's a bunch of shit. I've always said, it's like there's only one way to listen to or make music, and the way I look at that is, you've got your rock knob and you got your suck knob. You turn your rock knob as far up as you can and do the best that you can with that suck knob to turn it all the way down. And literally, like, that is, there's not like, I kind of like that song.
Right.
Well, I don't listen to any songs I kind of like.
Yeah, I don't have time for that.
It doesn't make it to the end of that song.
Right.
I don't have enough time for that. It's like, I want to listen to songs that motivate me or rock me out or whatever it is moves me, and that rock knob's turned all the way up. And it's whether it's listening to music or making music. It's like that. When we're writing a song, we're not trying to impress anybody musically. And this has been through the evolution of band members and stuff too. It's like, it's this need to want to impress people because our peers concentrate on that a lot. It's like, everything's been written, everything's been performed, so let's make it more difficult. And it's like, at the end of the day, what does the listener care about that shit? It's like, do I like listening to this song? That's all that fucking matters to me.
Yeah. And I think that's true of a lot of real rivet heads anyway, that you talk to, is they usually don't take themselves too seriously.
Right.
A lot of people have that misconception that there's a formula. And I guess there is for some bands that, they just, everything's got to be so goddamn serious. But, that's what I've always appreciated about Skatenigs or bands like Pigface, Put some swing in there. Put some funk in there.
Yeah, just have fun.
Get a sense of humor.
The thing is, at the end of the day, some people don't like labels. Some people run from labels.
Mm-hmm.
What does the label represent? Well, there is this kind of category, this checklist. Are you industrial?
Yeah.
And I hear people quick, well, I heard this 25 years ago, 30 years ago with punk.
Uh-huh.
Well, does it do this? Does it? Oh, you can't do that. You can't. I don't need rules in my music. I just fucking don't. It's like, is it fun? It's like, I don't need to play with a bunch of industrial bands that sound like a certain thing.
Uh-huh.
It's like, is it fun? And, we really haven't ever fit that industrial mold. I don't think that people thought of us or even think of us unless they know our history of being a Wax Trax band.
Yeah.
Right.
Wax Trax didn't sign us because we sounded like Front 242
Right.
or aspired to be like, that wasn't the deal. They signed us because we were something new. And that's what they had been doing, was signing shit that was new and exciting. And it didn't hurt that Ministry was in our corner either.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But that being said, I've always been a huge fan of all things industrial. But industrial, like anything else, 80% of it sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Period.
Yeah.
It's like you can't just go by genre. I like punk rock and everything punk rock. No, bullshit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shitty punk rock
Sure.
out there. I'm not a fan of punk rock that sings about girls. Why? It just wasn't what I was into.
Yeah.
That wasn't punk rock to me. I don't care. There's a bunch of great songs that have been written about. It's not my thing.
Right.
Right.
And it kind of goes that way. When people go too political, I'm kind of like, you write yourself into a corner. It's like, do I not have anything else to write about? It's like, I've been sober for over 6 years now. I got plenty of drug references I can always
Sure.
pull from. But there's no lack of the bizarre in my life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like there's always something to write about. And sometimes it's just those most ridiculous things too. And I will firmly stand on that. Whatever it is, have fun with it. And, it's not going to always make the cut by every critic that reviews your record. And honestly, it shouldn't be that way. I always said when I was a DJ, if I didn't clear the dance floor once a night, at least I wasn't doing my job right.
Right.
Yeah, I've done that a time or two as a DJ. That just, there are times it's just horrifying when that happens, though.
Yeah.
Did you get the people that would try and come and help you and make it worse?
Oh no, I was a pompous asshole. And I was way too high for anybody to tell me anything. My DJ booth was notoriously louder than the dance floor.
Yeah.
Like I would usually use a guitar amp for my monitor.
Oh, wow.
So it was like there wasn't anything. It's also why I have to wear hearing aids most of the time now. It's like my headphone ear is like just toast. But no, I never really struggled with that. But I always found like the time to take the chances were when the club was packed.
Damn.
I played all the easy shit when there was nobody there. Then when the club was packed, that's it. Al and I DJ'd one night at the Riviera in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, Fuck the Police was brand new.
Okay. Yeah.
So I'm playing Fuck the Police. The dance floor gets packed. And then I mixed lard into it, the power of lard.
Yeah.
And man, I beat mixed that thing for a long time. So when it came out of it, people were just grooving. Then by the time it hit that chorus, it just like cockroaches, man. Everybody went to the side. And they ended up paying Al and I $1,000 to stop DJing. the same people that hired us and flew me up there. Because I was like, no, I'll DJ a night, but Phildo's got to DJ with me.
Mm-hmm.
So we made up some crazy name and fucking, had this dance night. And literally, there's like some Blues Brothers bullshit. Like they literally paid us to leave. And we're nice about it. They were so happy that we left. They were very
awesome.
You guys need anything? No, we're great, man. I've never DJ'd this short amount of time ever, but awesome.
This is the best night ever.
It was great.
I wish they could all be like this.
What's the next show coming up?
We have the record release show is going to be Saturday night. So the album will come out on Friday. Saturday night, we're doing an outdoor.
Nice.
Yeah, it'd be the first time we play as much of this album as we're playing about 8 songs off the new record.
Right on.
So we'll play. We got like 5 more shows this fall. Then we'll break for a bit and do some more show production via lights and video for the real tour that'll start up in January or February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we'll be working on that. Like I said, we've got just shows in Texas and then a New Orleans show in the middle of November, just to kind of like test the new material. We had some other shows booked, but we've canceled them just because everything kind of resurged, and just thought we'll keep the ones that we can.
Yeah.
But we're going to hold off a bit. So it gives us a chance to kind of test everything out and see what we need to work on to get it right for the shows in the spring when we go out full force. But so the spring will also be the 30th anniversary of Stupid People Shouldn't Breathe.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So the set for next year is going to be new album and Stupid People Shouldn't Breathe. It will be songs off both those records. We're leaving everything else out just to focus on those 2 things. And then early summer, I'm going to release a record called Making Life Livable, which is remixes of Chemical Imbalance.
Okay.
Done by a bunch of people that we all know that I'll be announcing at a later date. But it's basically a bunch of reimaginations of Chemical Imbalance. And
right on.
Really, really cool.
Sweet.
Really interesting variety of takes on that song.
Yeah. I hope you can at least hit Kansas City when you come through.
Yeah. I was going to ask about that because I remember last time I talked to you about it, you'd said you were going to be playing the Riot Room, and they're not there now.
The Riot Room shut down, and so we ended up routing through Omaha and Des Moines.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But we will come back to Kansas City. I'm just not sure. It just won't be on that run. I don't know. There's like a date or 2 that has a little wiggle room in it, and I don't know if Kansas City will happen, but it might happen on that run. I may end up switching it out with one of the dates, so it could possibly happen, but it's not happening on our way to Chicago. It would happen on our way back. That was the other thing, was I had some shows booked throughout the spring, and then I held off because I do everything myself right now, and it's like I'm not going to do all this and then have to reschedule.
Right.
That's fine if you're making real booking agent money or something, maybe, but
right.
But for me, it's like that's like my 5th job.
Right.
So it's like it's a lot of work, and to have to redo it is a big that, and just also being mindful of people's calendar at the venues and stuff.
Yeah.
We love Kansas City. I mean, Mike Bingham, who plays bass in the studio for us and plays drums for us live. Bingham lived in Kansas City for a while, so that's one of his hometowns. So we like going through Kansas City. Plus, Kansas City has a cool vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that though.
Yeah, no, we're going to be gearing up for all of that. We'll see what happens. We really are hoping to hook up with a band to tour with, or we'll just keep pushing forth with doing our own shows. We ended up doing this record for Cleopatra Records for all of the digital platform. Mm-hmm. And then for physical release, we did Armalite Industries, which is based out of London. So we're hoping to get back over to the UK. But for all the Canadians, not in the legal foreseeable future will I be coming to Canada anytime.
That old thing.
Yeah. So, we're working on that. Mm-hmm. The lawyers don't give me any words of hope with regards to that, but we will see. I love Canada.
Yeah.
The authorities there just
don't like you.
They hold a grudge. I'm okay. I'm actually getting another passport. Yeah, like we've led enough. The statute of limitations has always been my friend.
Yeah.
Well, at least they're not in between on you, right? We know they have a strong opinion.
That's right. Don't be in between. Ban me or put me up front. Let me on through.
Come to the show or toss me in the clink.
If I get a we'll see out of this deal, we're not headed that direction.
That's good.
Any plans for a vinyl release?
There will definitely be a vinyl release. Mm-hmm. The thing is, right now, vinyl plants are so backed up.
Yeah, we're hearing that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's such an investment to put your money away with, because you have to pay up front. Mm-hmm. And it's a large chunk. And then you sit on it for a year waiting for your record. And it's just, we will do it. I always let people know too. It's like, vinyl shouldn't be where you're listening to new releases on.
Right.
Or at least not new Skatenig releases.
Right.
The thing is those are collector items. I mean, it is what it is.
Right.
The investment is so big. You get a fancy package and you get this thing that's worth collecting at the end of the day. But really and truly, our music's going to be found first on digital platforms.
Right.
It's just the most efficient way to get it out there.
To get it out to a lot of people. Yeah.
Even our record label right now, they're still trying to put out a ChemLab release that was due last December.
Wow.
And so they're kind of like frustrated, and that's their business.
Right.
I'm in the business of selling hot sauce and switchblades and T-shirts and vinyl.
Yeah.
So
you've had plenty of time to work up some new T-shirts.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Right now, we're just selling some red, white, and blue logo shirts that are from the gas mask thing because I always like to have one that's just punk rock logo. Just put a logo on there. I like T-shirts that I don't have. I like them to breathe.
Yeah.
But that being said, before the shows in the spring, once again, with merch, it's about how long can you sit on that money?
Right.
I've got enough merch for the next few shows, so it's like it just comes back to how much money can. Well, right now, I'd rather stick that money into our live show production. We just bought a bunch of lights.
Right.
We just got some speaker cabinets made that are they're guitar cabinets on the top third, and they're PA speakers on the bottom 2/3.
Okay.
They're white cabinets with a blue cloth with a red ring around them. It's fucking nobody we have these custom cabinets made so that we can hear our fucking samples and stuff on stage because that's been such an issue. We just let's get some cabinets to where both sides of the stage look the same because everybody likes symmetry.
Right.
It'll go with our backdrop. It's like that's where the money's been going. The money has been going into the show that'll come out.
The show and the gear. Yeah.
Huh.
So yes, I like to do T-shirts. I want to do them, but I'm going to do them a little bit closer to us playing a bunch of shows because right now inventory's there and it's not exciting, but it is just practical.
Cool.
And I'm the wrong person to ask about that. I'm a niche collector. I like weird shit that people put. Like I've got one of your switchblades. I got to get some of the hot sauce.
Yeah, well, I just had some VIP passes made, laminates made that are on foil print.
Oh, yeah?
Huh.
Those are going to be bundled with a VIP bundle that'll have unique guitar picks with it. We've got a 6-color silk screened cardstock poster that goes with. I mean, so I put in a little package. The T-shirts right now might be a bland option because it's just that standard logo T-shirt. But I've got a bunch of cool shit in my merch. We did the Hell and Back Again habanero hot sauce. I've just about sold out of that little private label. So I like to do weird shit too.
Yeah.
Make some things that are collectible and unique and that sort of thing. And then, we've got the koozies and we'll always have the switchblades. We will always, I will always be making switchblades because I get a kick out of that.
I do. I think it's hilarious.
Is Cody going to be hitting the road?
I don't think Cody will be hitting the road this time. Hillary's coming out and doing merch for us.
Oh, nice.
But Cody is family for sure. But the way it is right now, we're not even sure what we're traveling in. We started a GoFundMe for a van.
That's right. I saw that.
Yeah.
Car prices are crazy. We lost our van during COVID because, it's just like we need to sell this thing before we can't make payments on it anymore. And because we weren't sure how long it was going to last. And we're kind of in a spot right now where it's like we don't really need a van until the spring and car prices are stupid right now.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I know. It's disappointing for me to come on and tell you that Skatenigs are practical.
Yeah.
I'm a gambling man, just not with my fucking money.
Yeah, it makes sense.
It's like I'm too used to not having enough of it. So it's like I'm practical in those regards. I could tell you a bunch of funny shit that the statute of limitations probably hasn't gone long enough. So I'm going to hold off on that. But I can tell you all kinds of shit that's not practical to make my case that we're still cool.
Right. No. Sometimes practical is cool. Well...
You're still with us, man.
Yeah, that's a myth.
You're still doing it. And a lot of people that weren't practical aren't still around.
Yeah.
After 30 plus years.
Yeah, I've certainly known of bands who've had to sell the van and that was the end of the band.
Right.
No,
I hear you. Well, I definitely credit the team for that. That's not a Phil thing. That's because the guys in the band are fucking all about it and make it happen and all of that, that's definitely a group effort thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like I've always thought if I wasn't in a band, I sure would like to be like a marriage counselor for bands, like because that's like being a marriage counselor for polygamists.
Right.
You know? It's like dealing with this poly relationship dynamic.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how long I could do it, but I think it would be a worthwhile concept.
Yeah.
No, that would almost go along with like some of Martin Atkins' books that he's put out.
Yeah. Yeah. Wife smart, you call it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that relationship between the wife and the audience.
The wives and the audience.
Wives.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
The wives. Yes, the group of wives.
Godspeed with that.
Yep.
But yeah, you get the right client. Well, it could pay for your tour, pay for your van. All depends on who it is, I guess.
Yeah. The thing is, it's like any relationship. The person that shows up for it wasn't the problem in the first place.
Right. That's a very good point about therapy. Yeah.
Speaking as a therapist, yeah.
Well, see, there you go. That's who I need to partner with on this polygamous counselor thing.
Yeah. I can hook you up with some marriage counselors.
Sure.
Well, we don't need to be a real marriage counselor. We just need a hotline. I'm sure there's a lot of the 1-900 numbers still available or that have become available.
Let's do it.
Oh, sure. Yeah. I was wondering about those the other day. What happened to those? Especially with cell phones now, you don't get charged long distance for anything.
I'm pretty sure that's where all the robocalls and robotexts come from.
Probably. Yeah.
I'm so tired of them. I don't know what to do anymore because I like work overnight, so I'm sleeping during the day, and I'm afraid, because my wife's working and my kids at school, so I'm afraid to turn off the ringer on my phone.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I get so many fucking spam calls that I can't sleep when I leave it on.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, and for people my age, it's like you either prefer phone calls or you don't make them anymore.
Right.
I'm probably somewhere in between. I like phone calls just because I'm that old, but I've got friends that are my generation too that are just like, I'm done making calls. I don't use my phone for that.
Yep. Text me.
Yep.
No, I'm impatient when people call me now. I'm just like, and it's not even like I have something else to do, but I feel like I should have something else to do.
Well, it's kind of like on the spot. Like I can erase my text to you. I can think before I send it, but when my mouth starts running, it's like there's no telling what I'm going to say that I can't edit.
That's going to be the drop for this show. We'll just have like a little.
Put that as a sample on the top.
There's no telling what I'm going to say. Phildo Owens on Undetermined.
Yeah. All right. Well, we don't want to keep you on all afternoon or anything, man.
Well, man, it's always great talking to you guys. I'm like, I wonder how long this call is going to be because we just got in from corporate. So I'm like, I can't think of anything to say. Then you guys get me going. And it's like an hour later, and here we are. There's this list of unanswered questions that you guys came to the table with, I'm sure.
No. We don't do that. Yep.
We gave up on coming up with too many questions.
I like that about you guys. Work smart, not hard, right?
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's a lot more fun that way, too.
Yeah.
That's right. Work fun, not smart.
Yep. Sounds canned otherwise. Of course, we always get people, why didn't you ask him this? Why didn't you ask him? Why don't you ask him? Here's Cool. No, it's good catching up with you, man.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure. If you guys want to revisit after the record's out, I will say this. So we're going to put the next single out. The next video is going to come out on Black Friday. It's called We Can't Have Nice Things.
Oh, right on.
That's a good day for that.
It has Joe Exotic in it, and we can maybe do a group with the band and Hillary.
Sure.
And Kelly Hurd, our videographer.
That'd be awesome.
And we can talk about Joe Exotic. Let's do the Tiger King We Can't Have Nice Things holiday special.
All right.
Let's do it.
Sounds good.
You guys could just roast me or something.
There you go.
It's like, Phil, these are the changes I would have made.
Right.
Remember that rock knob, suck knob thing you were telling me about?
Where's the knob?
The suck knob was way too high on that.
Yeah, I had no idea the suck knob had that much gravity. Yeah.
Right on.
All right, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. We had a blast.
All right, man. Great to hear from you guys. Y'all take care.
Phildo Owen, Skatenigs.
What could go wrong?
What could go wrong?
All right, man.
We'll talk to you soon, man.